Hi guys, and welcome back in Unit 6, which mostly discusses the future. Right now we're going to have a look on how to use the correct grammar to do so. And as you can see, there's this green grid that will help you out. This first sentence here you need to fill into the things is to talk about future events we can use, and then here you will have to use a grammatical tense, and here a construction to talk about the future. Okay, so you see that there's some information missing here, and I first want to talk about the first thing you can fill in here, namely that is the future simple. You get an example of it here. I'll get frustrated quite quickly, so you already see that the future simple, guys, consists out of a subject, I, an auxiliary verb, will, always will, and then a bare infinitive, get. Okay, to make that more clear, I have this rather ugly picture in which you can see that it's always the same thing. You add a subject, I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they, and then you always add the exact same auxiliary verb will, and then you add the bare infinitive, in this case come, but it could also be any other verb, of course. If you want to make that negative, you can just add not after the auxiliary verb, so I will not come, you will not come, and so on. And know that you can make a contracted form of this, I won't come, you won't come, and so on. That's shorter. You can also ask a question, of course, and to do so, you just have to reverse the auxiliary verb and the subject. So will I come, will you come, and so on. Okay, we already get a hint here at the other thing you need to fill in the second line in your green grid, that is be plus going to. That's what you can fill in here, and this is what we sometimes call the intentional future. You get an example of it here. The final is going to take place at Wembley Stadium, and you can already see some of the uses of this intentional future and the future simple, but you get a better overview of it in your grammar booklets. So that's where I'm going right now. In it you have this, how to talk about the future tenses. And here it discusses, we use the future simple or be plus going to talk about future events. Get a few examples, but then most importantly, there's a difference between the normal future simple and then this intentional future. So I'll skip this for a second and go straight to this. To stress the idea of intention, we often use be plus going to. Right? In the new year, I am going to eat more fruit. So don't say in the new year, I will eat more fruit, because this is an intention, and when talking about intentions, right, things that we're planning to do, we use the be plus going to construction. Same goes for the second example. Your report card is a disaster. What are you going to do about that? What is your intention about doing that? Same goes for predictions based on evidence. Okay, to make a prediction based on evidence or a sign that you can see, we often use be plus going to. With 5 minutes left on the clock and Liverpool leading with 7-1, it's safe to say that Liverpool is going to be the new champion. Okay, our prediction here is that Liverpool is going to be the new champion, obviously, and the evidence on which we base that is the fact that there's only 5 minutes left to play and it's already 7-1. So it is, well, not really to be expected that the other team is going to win, and therefore we make a prediction with the be plus going to. Okay. An exception is the verb to hope and to expect, because after these we almost never use be plus going to. That's important to remember, guys. So I hope they won't be late, and I expect it will rain this evening. Never be plus going to. Good. We also get this here. To talk about personal arrangements, we often use the present continuous. I am flying to Dublin next week. This is a bit confusing because the grammatical tense is called present continuous, but it is used to talk about the future. Okay, why is that? Because it's a personal arrangement which is actually fixed in the future. And therefore we use this present continuous. Also, they are getting married in June. Good. So you get this in short in your green grid, but it might be interesting to also have a look at the more extensive information in your grammar summaries. If you filled this in, and it's quite easy, you know what you have to fill in here and here now, you can also try to highlight the verbs expressing the future in the speech bubble. That's over here, and I can already tell you that you need to highlight 3 things there. Okay, so that can be a help already. Let's continue. Of course, you get an exercise on this, guys. So they ask here, what is the classroom technology of the future, right? And it comes along with a video that might give you inspiration. But the main idea here is that you have to use the future simple and only the future simple, guys, to complete these verbs and write them underneath the grid. Okay, so I'll play this video for you so that you might get some inspiration about it. So maybe these were the classrooms that you one day will help us build. Perfectly possible. So you know what the exercise is here. Conjugate using the future simple. Next, I want to draw your attention to this green grid over here. We use the verb can in the present simple and could in the past simple. Guys, can and could are used to talk about ability on the one hand, something that you can do, right? For instance, I can't swim. And also for permission. You can take your books right now, something like this, or you can leave the classroom. This is talking about permission. But we can only use this in the present simple and the past simple. If we need other tenses, we use a form of to be able to when talking about ability, and to be allowed to when talking about permission. And then you get 2 examples here. They will be able to work with it as soon as they put it on the desk. Note that in present simple this would be they can work with it as soon as they put it on the desk. Or could in the past simple. Same thing for the ability sentence over here. The permission sentence over here. Students will be allowed to take all of their classroom notes digitally. Okay. We are skipping 11 entirely, and the same goes for 12. So you can go to the next page. 13 is not that important, 14 is not that important, and the last thing you will have to do is 15. Are you going to live in the city or in the country later on? Okay, write a poll comment about it of about 50 to 60 words, and that's what you have to do here. So decide whether you would like to live in the city or rather on the country, and explain us why that would be the case. Use future simple, guys, and going to or the intentional future, that is, and note that you have some information here that could help you, right? If you're writing this, don't just copy what it says here, but personalize it, all right? That's important there. You could, of course, use very large sentences here, and well, just don't do it thoroughly. But I would like you to really write 50 to 60 words, and remember to, well, write a good text. Okay. Again, you can use this as an inspiration, but don't literally copy it. Good. And then you see that this is actually it for this site. So next week we will continue with your future in the second site. The world is your oyster. Thanks for being here, guys, and see you soon.